The Alien franchise has been an absolute rollercoaster. The first Alien is a classic of deep space horror. Aliens ups the scales, ups the characters, it ups everything, and is honestly one of the greatest movies of all time. Alien 3 is a boring and forgettable mess. Alien vs Predator is forgettable and ridiculous. Alien vs Predator Requiem is physically impossible to see because the lighting is so bad. Prometheus was interesting in spots, but turned out to be one long prequel to a film that never actually happened. And the film that it should have been, which was Alien Covenant, that was half a formulaic Alien movie and half a story about creation, which pretty much doesn't actually have anything less to do with the Alien franchise. And in between it all is Alien Resurrection.
Ho 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 ho! Delightfully devilish, Seymour.
Yes, everybody, welcome back to Delightfully Devilish, the show where we discuss films that all at once meet the criteria of being the good, the bad, and the ugly. I'm your host, Jukebox Harry, and today we are looking at one of the most polarizing films to come out of the Alien franchise. Alien Resurrection is a 1997 science fiction horror film set 200 years after Alien 3. If you go to Rotten Tomatoes, you'll see that critics rate it more highly than Alien 3, but audiences don't agree with that. See, that actually surprised me, because I feel like Alien Resurrection doesn't actually get a lot of the appreciation that it deserves. At the end of the incredibly disappointing Alien 3, protagonist Ellen Ripley sacrifices herself to kill the alien queen embryo that's growing inside her body. Sacrificing the hero of a franchise is a very bold move, but as the title of this film suggests, yes, they literally brought her back from the dead.
Like I have to go and dig up
Ripley.
Some folks have a strange idea of entertainment.
When I first watched Alien Resurrection about 10 years ago, I mostly enjoyed it. I thought that it was a little bit repetitive and it rehashed a lot of old plot elements, but the most important thing to me was that it triumphed over Alien 3. It was a lot better than that movie. And watching it 10 years later, now that I have a lot more understanding of director Jean-Pierre Jeunet and writer Joss Whedon, that actually gives me a lot to think about. Interestingly enough, they actually had contrasting visions for this film. Joss Whedon's script was originally written to be a lot more tongue-in-cheek and comedically oriented, but Jean-Pierre Jeunet decided to take the directorial approach where he played it completely straight and serious. And I gotta say, in these circumstances, I definitely agree with him. Alien was never meant to be a tongue-in-cheek franchise. It was serious, it was dark, it was visceral, and I think he made the right decision overriding Joss Whedon on that, which Whedon has been very vocal about not being happy about. And with all that in mind, let's jettison into space. For some reason, the first thing we see in Alien Resurrection is an unimpressively rendered CGI beetle with certain aspects that resemble a xenomorph. And a long list of intro credits featuring talented and often recognizable names are listed as the camera pans out over the outer space setting, which provides a look at some better special effects. The visual effects in Alien Resurrection are often more impressive than not, so don't let that bug give you the wrong idea. The story is set on the United States military medical research vessel Auriga, where a team of scientists have cloned the deceased Ellen Ripley. By resurrecting her, they've also resurrected the alien embryo which was growing inside of her in Alien 3, and the prosthetic effects are brilliant as always. Ellen is marked with a number 8 tattoo.
Number 8. Number 8. Number 8.
Unfortunately, she's also developed some aggressive tendencies.
She can't do that. Shoot her or something.
Wait a second. It has memories. Why does it have memories?
And this is the first major sign of something not feeling all that right in this film. This guy, he speaks like a fucking cartoon character. He feels more like Woody Allen. Who in their right mind would ever think, you know who we should put in this film? Yeah, a Woody Allen type character.
An unexpected benefit from the genetic crossing.
I see. Stupid me. Of course, an unexpected benefit of the genetic process. How? I didn't even think of that.
What was your genetic crossover? Woody Allen and every mobster ever? Forget about it.
Ripley, what is it?
I'm pretty sure that's an artwork from the Pancake Parlor.
Ellen Ripley died trying to wipe this species out. For all intents and purposes, she succeeded. I'm not anxious to see her taking up her old hobbies.
So why'd you resurrect her then, dickhead? Remember, the xenomorph they've brought back is a queen. The filmmakers nearly failed to include the alien queen in this film because the molds for the original creature's design were actually damaged beyond usefulness. This is actually the exact same alien queen prop from Aliens, which they had to legitimately source from a collector of alien memorabilia.
Fork. Fuck. It's fork.
And there is the first sign of Joss Whedon's sense of humor making its way into the script. This isn't the worst example, but it certainly doesn't feel right. Unless, of course, you're a fan of The Good Place, then this is a moment you can make into a meme.
I think you will find that things have changed a great deal since your time.
I doubt that.
Now, this line right here may or may not actually be a meta-commentary on the film, referring to how a lot of things have changed in the universe of Alien, but how the film is still going to have to rely on the formula established from Alien, because it's hard to work around that in this franchise.
The more things change, the more they stay the same.
It's the United Systems military, not some greedy corporation.
Oh. Well, it won't make any difference. You're still gonna die.
Wish you could understand what we're trying to do here. The potential for this species goes way beyond urban pacification.
The first time I watched this movie, I was sick of the fact that humans honestly thought they could control xenomorphs at this point. Not only because it emphasizes the stupidity of its characters, but also because it's very repetitive in the series. And since this is the foregrounding to the entire premise in this film, yeah, it's a bit done to death.
And the animal itself, wondrous, potential, unbelievable once we've tamed them.
Dr. Mason Wren is a character with a very sadistic obsession over these creatures, and J.E. Friedman plays the character's cruel undertones very well. Enter the Betty, a commercial freighter carrying a crew of space cowboys.
No matter how many times you see at the sight of a woman all strapped up in a chair like that, just...
Would you rather see a woman strapped up or strapped on? In retrospect, this plot point reminds me quite a lot of Joss Whedon's space western series Firefly, which is my favorite non-comedy TV show. But again, whether this is right to be put in the Alien universe is really up for debate. We've even got a Rastafarian Travis Bickle from Taxi Driver as one of the crew. The Betty docks with Auriga, and the crew gets checked for weapons.
There are no weapons allowed on board, sir.
My own recipe. Way more dangerous.
I love Ron Perlman, and I think he is perfectly suited to be in the Alien franchise. In this film, however, oh my god, he is so over the top. He performs his role exactly as it's written, but it's written to be so fucking hammy. Another notable character is Dom Vries, portrayed by delicatessen actor Dominique Pinon.
Wanna check the chair?
Elton, these were very, very hard to come by.
So was our cargo.
The cargo they're delivering is several kidnapped humans kept in cryostasis to be used as host for their xenomorphs. And then we get possibly the most out-of-place scene in the film where we see Ellen Ripley playing basketball.
How about a little one-on-one? What do you say?
Ripley and Ron have a back and forth until he makes a move on her, causing her to strike him. She gets some resistance from the crew but manages to stand her ground. This scene exists entirely to highlight that Ellen's physical state has changed as a result of her resurrection. She has quicker movements, enhanced strength, and acid blood. But I feel like there's a better way to convey that in the film than by having the character play basketball on a spaceship in outer space. Like, what part of that was ever destined to be in the Alien franchise? Seriously, this scene reminded me more than anything of that really weird romantic basketball game from Catwoman, widely considered to be one of the worst films of all time. And the basketball scene in that film is rightfully considered one of its worst moments.
That seemed unnecessary.
Something of a predator, isn't she?
And that is another terrible line, a very, very obvious pop culture reference to the Predator franchise, specifically the franchise that Alien fought in the 1989 comic book series Alien vs. Predator, which, like I said, was adapted into 2 back-to-back terrible films. God, Joss Whedon is known for writing pop culture into his works. Alien is not the place for him to be doing that. We also get a shot of this girl's butt, which is nice to look at, but also this franchise has always pioneered strong female characters in science fiction without sexualization. Like, let's not break that streak.
Jesus Christ, Jotter, what do you put in this shit? Battery acid?
Just for color.
To his credit, I honestly cannot tell whether or not Ron is joking when he says that. The guy is a fucking maniac. The scientists have discovered that they can keep the xenomorphs submissive through the use of nitrogen gas.
So, we're a fast learner.
Why is Winona Ryder wearing boxing gloves to drink alcohol? She literally knocked it into the fucking camera. God, whose idea was any of this? Winona Ryder's character Annalee Cole goes searching around and finds Ripley.
They've taken it out of you. Where is it?
You mean my baby?
Who are you?
I'm Rick James, bitch.
Ellen Ripley died 200 years ago. You're not her.
Who am I?
You're a thing. A construct. They grew you in a fucking lab.
Ellen Ripley is an interesting character in Alien Resurrection for all new reasons. Few franchises that bring a character back from the dead ever actually consider the physical impacts that resurrection might have on a character, but this film's decision to make Ripley a human-alien crossbreed actually offers us something new. And Sigourney Weaver is brilliant as always, but this time she adds an enigmatic element of darkness to the character, which makes it difficult to determine whether she is siding with the humans or the xenomorphs. As far as the theme of resurrection goes, this film actually does something with it.
You gotta help me stop this thing before it gets loose.
It's too late. You can't stop it. It's inevitable.
It's what?
Inevitable.
One more time?
Inevitable!
Things are inevitably going to change. God damn it, open your fucking ears.
I think you're gonna find that this was very ill-advised.
Where's the other one? With the chair.
Don't ever touch me.
That small moment right there, I actually kind of love it. It says everything about the character's strength, but also his sense of self-control. When the space cowboys are confronted by the military, they respond appropriately, taking control of the situation. And Ron's weapon disguised as a metallic canteen is a very nice touch. I've always found that to be pretty original.
You're all under arrest for a Code 8, which is concealed weapons, and a Code 12, which is murder. Release Dr. Wren. Put down your weapons.
Another moment that's too cartoonish and ridiculous and beyond belief. Yeah, I do enjoy this film as a whole, but too many times, Joss Whedon's screenplay just rears its ugly head in the weirdest manner.
Real easy, soldier boy.
Soldier boy, tough.
And the xenomorphs end up in a scuffle, killing one of their own, which leaks acid blood and allows them to break free.
It begins!
Your attention, please. Security breach.
Fuck, this guy has some hairy shoulders. One of the xenomorphs is sure to bookend things by quick freezing one of the humans in nitrogen. Most of the crew is able to evacuate, and Hot Wheels gets locked and loaded. To this film's credit, it's an incredibly rare thing that you ever see a wheelchair-bound action hero. This film delivers on that without even casting someone with the conventional action hero prowess. I consider this a pretty good example of representation for disabled people in a major franchise, even if the character isn't developed to his full potential. And the xenomorph kills Jersey Boy. Seriously, this guy can't even die without making it weird. The captain of the Betty gets killed, and the rest of the gang gets trapped in the hall until suddenly...
What the fuck?
Dr. Wren informs the crew that there are 12 more xenomorphs on the ship.
Who do I have to fuck to get off this boat?
Well, that was fucking dreadful.
That is probably the worst line in the film. It is so out of place. Sigourney Weaver's delivery isn't even all that good, and she's my favorite actress, so that hurts me to say. Honestly, I feel like she said that line as a joke, and the editors were like, no, let's leave that in there. They shouldn't have.
Make a nice souvenir.
Is that another Predator reference? Seriously, just can it with the pop culture and the jokes in this film. Aliens had maybe 1 or 2 jokes, and they worked because the film was a horror movie. They didn't actually override things. The comedy so frequently tries to bloody override things in Alien Resurrection, and it makes the tone so just off.
I can't believe you did that.
Oh, fuck. I can't believe you've done this.
Did what?
Killed one of them. It's like killing your own kind.
We get it, you don't trust her. Learn a thing called subtlety, Whedon.
Play it subtle.
Man! Who are you expecting? Santa Claus?
Jesus Christ, so many misplaced lines in this movie are all just bunched into this one section. Having watched this film twice again just to review this movie, I've realized this is actually the turning point in the film, because all the characters get bunched together, and they spend most of the film just delivering one-liners so consistently over the course of the movie.
Well, I say if we want to make any decent time, I say we ditch the cripple. No offense, man.
None taken.
Nobody is left behind.
Yes, we get it. This whole why don't we just leave them behind thing has happened 3 times in the past 10 minutes. First with Dr. Wren, then with Ellen Ripley, and finally with Hot Wheels. We get it by this point. No one is getting left behind.
Any serious problem and the ship autopilots back to home base.
Earth.
Oh, great.
Bastard.
Earth. I'd rather stay here with the things, man.
Did anybody ask you, or are you just like injecting your opinion where it really doesn't need to be?
How long until we get to Earth?
3 hours almost.
Earth, man. What a shithole.
Okay, look, honestly, I am filming this during stage 4 lockdown in Victoria, and so many people in this state are being idiots about restrictions or posting conspiracy theories. Yeah, Earth is definitely a shithole. Maybe that's why he doesn't want to return to Earth, because he doesn't want to face all the people spreading sickness and conspiracy theories. Whilst moving through the Origo, Ripley feels drawn to a room which leads to a scene which is actually the one that convinced Sigourney Weaver to sign on for the film. Ripley uncovers 7 other failed cloning attempts with different degrees of genetic balance between human and xenomorph, and only one of them has actually survived. She tearfully incinerates them all for what should be a powerful moment, but of course Joss Whedon has to do his thing.
What's the big deal, man? Fucking waste of ammo.
Damn it, Whedon, how can you keep setting us up for great situations and then just butchering them with shitty dialogue?
Must be a chick thing.
God, the character Ron is literally written to just be comic relief, delivering one shitty line after another, and very rarely do they ever actually land. Ron Perlman's charisma, like I said, is great, but it's out of place. The gang finds the hostages that they delivered to the Auriga, and one of them named Purvis has survived. After being in cryostasis for ages, the first thing he wakes up to is Ellen Ripley sniffing him.
Leave him.
Fuck you, we're not leaving him here.
He's got one inside of him.
We have been over this several times, we know you're not going to leave him there.
What's inside me?
Hey man, I don't want one of those things birthing anywhere near my ass.
It's a bad risk.
What's inside me?
Look, we can't just leave him here.
I thought you came here to stop him from spreading.
What's inside me?
There's gotta be a process. Can you stop it?
Got no time for that.
I can't do it here. The lab is out of order.
What's inside me?
I could do him. Back of the head. Painless, it might be the best way.
What's inside me?
No, there's got to be another way.
What if we freeze him?
What's in fucking inside me?
The parasite!
Finally, about damn time.
Okay, so this guy has an alien inside him, which inevitably is going to kill him when it bursts out of his chest. He asked the crew 6 times, and they just kept fucking ignoring him. Seriously, this is actually the point in the film where I realized that our heroes, they're kind of assholes. I mean, they kidnapped a bunch of people and gave them to the military. I mean, you could argue that they didn't know what the military was going to do with them, but they're kidnapping. And if you give them to a medical facility, the military is probably going to do something wrong with them. And now they don't even have the decency to actually say to this guy what's going on inside of him. It takes the villain to do that.
And he put an alien inside of you. And in a few hours, it's gonna burst its way through your rib cage. And you're gonna die. Any questions?
Yeah, when's lunch?
Who are you?
I'm the monster's mother.
I don't exactly know how I feel about that line, because in one sense it feels like really tacky, but in another sense it is actually a dark reflection of the alien side of Ellen Ripley's character.
Look, he comes with us. We freeze him on the Betty, then the doctor can remove it later.
Why me?
Nothing will go wrong.
Since when were you in goddamn charge?
Since you were born without balls!
Whoa, you just declared people everywhere without testicles to be inferior. Toxic masculinity much, Winona?
We have to go through the kitchen, maybe 90 feet, to the freight elevator on the other side.
I don't like it.
What's to like?
Not the dialogue in this film, I'll tell you that much.
We hit the surface on the other side. No backstroke, okay?
Even when you have a disabled man being carried on the back of another passenger while you're running from aliens and about to face potentially drowning, you have to make a fucking joke, do you, Joss Whedon? Along the way, they get accosted by 2 more xenomorphs. Ron is able to kill one of them, but Hillard isn't so lucky. I actually really enjoyed this death scene. There was an intense build-up to it, it was slow and atmospheric, and the payoff was effective without relying on blood and gore. But aside from Ripley, nobody really takes notice of her disappearance, and nobody ever comments on it afterwards. She just disappears and then nobody says anything about it afterwards. God, these characters, they really are assholes. You know, we're supposed to like them because of their cheesy comedic banter, but they don't have any substance. The gang resurface to find themselves in the middle of a nest, and a facehugger goes for Ripley, which doesn't exactly make sense considering that they should be attracted to human hosts and not crossbreeds.
It's a goddamn trap! It's a goddamn ambush!
Using his pre-established skills with making bank shots, Travis Blackall is able to incinerate the rest, and Ripley successfully overcomes the facehugger. Everyone escapes to safety and begins to climb for the door.
It won't break! Give me your weapon! You really are way too trusting! No! Shut through the heart!
Ren escapes through the door and seals everyone else inside, and the xenomorph begins to give chase as the gang begins to fire back. Taxi driver, who's been established as great with weapons, suddenly can't even hit the xenomorph, and he gets attacked, forcing Hot Wheels to take the hands-on approach for him. And in comes Ron to lean into the situation, though what should be a badass moment is blunted by him missing every single shot except for the last one. Okay, that moment did actually make me laugh. Also, Ron Perlman did that stunt himself, and he actually severely lacerated the backs of his legs doing it, so kudos, man. With the xenomorph hanging onto him and Hot Wheels struggling to maintain the weight, Taxi Driver cuts himself loose, and then suddenly... what a twist.
This way!
The revelation that she survived is actually pretty powerful, but realistically, how in the hell did she get behind the door? They were taking this route because apparently this was the only way they could go.
Apparently not.
You're a robot? I should have known. No human being is that humane.
See, with a line like that in the film, you think the film might do something with it. You think it might explore the humanity of the character as a robot, as opposed to the lack of humanity that everyone else seems to possess. You know, we could get a Blade Runner look at this film. But no. And given the history of Ripley's relationship with robots, at the very least, this should mean something to the film.
I thought synthetics were supposed to be all logical and shit. You're just a big old psycho, girl.
You are not black, Ron Perlman.
Now, they were supposed to revitalize the synthetic industry. Instead, they buried it. They didn't like being told what to do. Government ordered a recall.
See, here we go again. The film hinting at more things that it could be exploring, which it definitely does not deliver on in the end.
She's a toaster oven.
Well, you're the one cooking an alien over there, smartass.
Can't believe I almost fucked it.
Yeah, like you never fucked a robot.
Wait, so is he meant to be black, or is he meant to be Beavis and Butthead? Jeez, Ron Perlman can't even decide what type of over-the-top he's going for in this movie. Cole being a robot gets used just as a plot device where they plug her into the mainframe and open all the doors leading to the Betty. They couldn't do this before, of course, because, you know, we had to risk everyone's lives just to keep the plot twist a secret. She also programs the ship to crash into a deserted part of planet Earth and hopefully destroy everything.
You must think this is pretty funny.
I'm finding a lot of things funny lately. But I don't think they are.
You got that right. Ripley and Cole share a bit of a mother-daughter moment where Cole talks about how she came to be involved with this mission and hates living life as a robot, while Ripley tells of her own personal experiences. But despite all the best intentions, this scene ultimately develops nowhere. It certainly puts the two characters in perspective, especially Cole, who even feels a bit like a younger version of Ripley. But sadly, everything just gets cut short again.
If this little hunk of plastic is pulling any shit, I'm gonna kill her! Kill you! Does that compute? Or do I have to draw you a schematic? Hey!
Thank you, he was actually getting way too much. Ripley gets pulled into the alien queen's nest where we get a very sexually charged shot. And the gang makes it back to the Betty, but so does Ren.
Then I kill her, and you kill me, and we all die.
And nobody goes home!
No, you kill her, he kills you. Two people die, but everyone else survives. What on earth did you think you were saying? While Ren monologues, Purvis's chest begins to burst. Purvis walks through a string of bullets and performs a rather over-the-top but still very badass execution. And everyone goes Columbine on the both of them.
There are no eggs. There is only her womb and the creature inside.
There is no her, only Zool. Due to the Queen's genetic contamination with Ripley, it has developed a uterus and gives birth to a different human xenomorph crossbreed. And it looks like Skeletor from the Master of the Universe film if he was dipped in queso. The newborn randomly kills the Queen and acts affectionately towards Ripley, whom it thinks is its mother, but she just runs and reaches the Betty just as it's taking off.
Jump! Deacon! Jump!
Hey!
I thought you were dead.
Yeah, I get that a lot.
Okay, that one was alright too. It felt organic and the delivery was suitable.
Hey, Ripley.
Good memory.
What was the joke there? Was he supposed to have forgotten you? Predictably, the newborn has followed them, and it kills Tuco from Breaking Bad. And while it's accosting Cole, we get a scene which feels like a throwback to Aliens, where Ripley comes in to save a young girl in distress. While pretending to be affectionate towards the creature, she burns a hole in the window with her acid blood, which pulls the creature to the wall and begins to kill it with explosive decompression. As Ripley watches the creature that is her spawn cry helplessly as it dies, she begins to tear up. And honestly, I felt something too. With eyes, the newborn seems a lot more human because this is something the xenomorphs didn't have. At first I thought giving the creature eyes was stupid, but this scene puts things in perspective. This scene has feeling, but it should have a lot more than it ultimately does. Ripley lost her daughter and Newt, and now that she's coming back as a crossbreed, she's lost yet another child. There should be a lot more power to this, but no, the film just drops the newborn on us only to kill it off 5 minutes later without any real substance. It just makes the creature's existence as a whole seem so arbitrary. The Auriga collides with Earth and explodes, surely killing everything on board. Although it would have been nice to see the explosion in person, have a look at the society that was impacted by that crashing. And the Betty successfully re-enters Earth's atmosphere. And depending on what version of the film you watch, you might get the ending where they land and overlook the fallen remains of their once great civilization, which is definitely the better ending. In the DVD version I had, they just overlook planet Earth without actually landing. It's very anticlimactic. Is Alien Resurrection a good film?
Yeah.
I did not intend to review Alien Resurrection when I watched it. I was literally watching it just for the sake of rewatching the Alien quadrilogy. And I was thoroughly engrossed the entire time watching this movie. I really enjoy this movie. But watching it again another time after that for the sake of this review, I've realized there are a lot of problems in this movie. Like the character Ellen Ripley in the film itself, this movie feels like a very strange crossbreed. It takes a pre-existing science fiction horror franchise with an established tone, and then changes that for the sake of a Joss Whedon screenplay, and then adds in the visual style of director Jean-Pierre Jeunet Jeunet, whose style is no doubt influenced by the cinéma du look movement that influenced French filmmaking throughout the 1980s and 90s. It's an enjoyable experience, but there are a lot of pieces that very much feel out of place. It's like eating a bowl of Skittles where every 10th Skittle is an M&M. You're sitting there enjoying the multiple sweet fruit flavors, and then something hits you, and it's the chocolate. And it's good in one context, but in this context, you're not enjoying it because you're wanting to enjoy Skittles. Although I'm a vegan, so that allegory is probably a bit more distressing than this movie actually is. The best way to view Alien Resurrection is to go in with the mindset that you are watching a piece of fan fiction, because everything after Aliens should be considered fan fiction. They all turn into a messy series of prequels, sequels, and spin-offs, none of which lived up to the quality of the first two movies. Resurrection felt to me like a story about space cowboys who just happened to cross paths with xenomorphs. The characters are all undercooked and paper thin, relying more on the gimmick of giving them all personal eccentricities, specific individual skills, and cartoonish one-liners in the place of actual character development. It gets overbearing a lot of the time, especially Ron Perlman. I mean, I love the guy and his energy, and for what they were going for, he nailed it, but he is probably the biggest reminder of Whedon's misplaced tone. And since these guys are also kidnappers, they're not objectively good people, but I did get attached to them because I steadily began to appreciate the energy of the actors, since this film has a great cast. And since we get to spend a lot more time with them than we got to spend with the characters in the third and probably even the first Alien, it does become easy to start rooting for them. So when they die, there is definitely a fair degree of emotional weight to the situation. I really wanted to see these characters survive. You contrast that to Alien 3, I kind of zoned out halfway through and couldn't have cared less what happened to any of the characters, except for maybe Leonard Dillon. Sigourney Weaver is definitely the standout of the cast, putting a creepy twist on Ellen Ripley while maintaining the humanity that we've all grown to love about her. Winona Ryder is also pretty good. She's kind of written just to be Winona Ryder in an Alien film, and a lot of her dialogue is one-dimensional moaning and whining. But Cole has a sense of strength to her, and the chemistry that she shares with Sigourney Weaver comes very organically. Admittedly, I do have a soft spot for her because Winona Ryder is honestly one of my favorite actresses, but I do think she was perfectly placed in this film. Originally, Angelina Jolie was offered that role. I am so glad she turned it down because I feel like she would have come across as a lot more pretentious and a lot less human than Winona Ryder was able to make the character seem. And aside from the over-the-top Jersey boy, the rest of the cast is all perfectly solid. Particularly Michael Wincott, who so naturally plays a seedy pirate in his few scenes. And as a visual experience, Alien Resurrection delivers. The visual effects are pretty great, the set design and costumes are solid, the prosthetics are brilliant as always, and the cinematography is worth noting. It doesn't always have the same feeling of claustrophobia that the first three had because it's a lot more stylized and action-oriented, but it gives the film a sense of over-the-top energy, which matches the characters and the pacing. I love the work of director Jean-Pierre Jeunet on this film. I think he is a very talented visionary, although I do think that the original director David Cronenberg would have been a much better choice because he is visceral when it comes to horror and science fiction, especially body horror. Now, the things he could have done with this material would have been amazing. But remember, like I said, this is a fan film in the Alien franchise, and Jean-Pierre Jeunet delivers exactly the visuals that you would want to get hyped up about. And he has proven time and time again to be talented with that. If you look at Delicatessen, The City of Lost Children, or Amelie, you will see that the man knows his imagery, and this film is no special case. One point to note in this movie is that the actual xenomorphs get a lot more screen time than they did in the previous Alien films. The earlier movies took more of a Jaws approach and didn't show the creature as much, which makes perfect sense, especially because audiences at that time would not be accustomed to seeing the creature so much, so it would have a lot more shock value. But I personally think that Resurrection is perfectly okay in how it does this. The entire film feels very over the top and is about as much of an action movie as it is a horror film. The aliens and the humans almost feel like equal foes a lot of the time, so it's a little more about the clash between the two species than just the chase. Plus the creature's design is consistently great, even though the newborn is an ugly motherfucker. The low point of the film really stems down to the work of Joss Whedon, and that stings me to say that because I love Firefly, I enjoy Buffy and Angel and the Avengers movies that he did, and also I enjoy his work on Justice League because let's face it, Zack Snyder makes trash DC movies. Whedon's script consistently hints at themes, but the film never follows through on them. His characters are too cartoonish, his dialogue is tacky, he's just wrong. Joss Whedon's style of writing just does not suit a genuine Alien film whatsoever. Joss Whedon's best works are when he takes his own franchises, builds those from the ground up, fleshes out the characters, and adds his sense of humor into there. He even did that well in the Avengers films because that's exactly what they were demanding. They wanted humor, they wanted pop culture. Here, no, he is working out of his element. Whedon has spoken out about being unhappy that the final product of Alien Resurrection was not as lighthearted and tongue-in-cheek as he wrote it to be. I am very happy that it did not turn out like that. Jean-Pierre Jeunet made the right decision by playing it so straight, because that's what Alien is supposed to be. Apparently, the production of this film with studio interference was so difficult that Jean-Pierre Jeunet has actually sworn off ever working in Hollywood again, even though he has actually spoken out that he is in fact proud of this film. For one thing, the script in this film went through a lot of different rewrites. Apparently, there was 5 early drafts of this script that all had a third act featured on planet Earth, and none of those made it to the final cut. I would have been very interested to see where those would go. And since the franchise has now become a weird collection of spin-offs and sequels, it's just, you know, whatever sequels could have been made to this film instead of Alien vs. Predator, I don't think they would have been good. I think that the studios have royally fucked Alien 1 times too many. And like how you needed Joss Whedon's lighthearted touch to undo a lot of the melodramatic, pretentious damage that Zack Snyder did to the DC universe, you need Jean-Pierre Jeunet playing it straight and being serious to undo a lot of the ridiculous comedic elements that Joss Whedon tried to make Alien into with this film. So, yeah, I guess he's been on both ends of the spectrum. Alien Resurrection gets 7 misplaced live-action cartoon characters out of 10. It is a messy combination of different visions with tacky dialogue, repetitive themes, and undercooked characters. But honestly, Jean-Pierre Jeunet's visionary direction and the talents of a really good cast make for an entertaining spin-off, if not continuation, of the Alien franchise. And that does it for today's episode of Delightfully Devillish, you guys. If there are any movies you want to see me discuss on this show, please leave them in the comment section below. If you want to see more episodes of this show, please hit that subscribe button. Otherwise, until next time, I have been your host, Jukebox Harry. Peace.
It has memories. Why does it have memories?